mate. How you going?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, good. I'm going to call you in here as a safety representative for the shed.
Yep.
I was going over with the girls and a few of the project managers in there. And I was saying we've had quite a few eye injuries, not necessarily all from our department. Things like flash, more grinding.
Yep.
Obviously, we use die grinders here. They're pretty bad for
Yeah,
your eyes.
definitely. Yep. And kind of where we're having the wind blowing through, I can see that could be an issue with the dust and dirt blowing around.
Well, the boys get it the same, so the guys working outside,
Yeah.
even grinding, and the wind hits it and brings it back into their face, or the dust, or. But obviously, as you know, like we need to be ISO accredited here. That's part of how we get our work through the government.
Yeah.
We need to sort of come up with a couple of options and work out which one we're going to use to combat the injuries we've had.
Yep.
I mean, the other thing is, as I'm sure you're probably aware, the more injuries we have, the higher our insurance premiums are. So it's
and obviously the higher the danger is to our workers.
Yeah, well, now that they're looking at each department individually, if our department is getting injuries and that's costing them more money there, that's coming out of our budget.
Yep.
Obviously, it's not coming out of the office budget.
That makes sense. Totally.
Have any of the guys down there said anything? Is there any sort of higher risk activities they're doing?
I mean, there's certain jobs in the shed which is still grinding in the same process you would use throughout the shed. But in some of the certain applications, the position you have to be faced with the grinder, you'll be looking straight directly down the blade or the sanding disc.
So would this be things like webbing and...
Yeah, and maybe also running the jigs, sanding into the cords, you're looking right down the end of the sanding disc. So any sparks that are coming around the guard are coming kind of directly in line with your face or your body.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a few of our eye injuries have come from. As far as the grinding side of things, obviously die grinding sections. You're hot and sweaty. You're doing it for a long process of time. If your glasses start to move off those die grinding burrs with the wind or anything else, they go absolutely anywhere. So it's quite easy for them to go through and get in the corner of your eye, or if you're not wearing glasses as you're supposed to, obviously that's a major risk.
So do the boys down there still have access to the eye wash bottles?
They do, yeah. So every bay has individual eye wash or eye bath with a bottle attached eye washes. The first aid kit has a number of those, and if a major incidents as far as chemicals in eyes or a large chunk, we have a big pull down eye wash station.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. We'd probably have a lot more injuries if we didn't have those.
Yeah, definitely, or at least a lot more hospital visits. Generally if there's something small in your eye, you can remove it yourself with an eye wash bath.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have access to those, there would be a lot more trips for the doctor to have them removed medically.
Yeah. So one of the options that got raised by the guys was safety training leading to greater awareness.
Yep.
Look, my only real issue with that is most of the boys are trained.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so, we've always ran through the safe operating procedures of how to use a grinder as such. We've gone through the swims and JSAs of that. But as we were discussing earlier, certain applications of the grinder, even though you're using the grinder correctly, or as correctly as you can, you're not meant to look down the face of the grinder to stop this reason. Certain applications in the shed require you to do that. So more training may help, but as you said, the boys are trained in there to a point.
I mean, any guy that's trade qualified, he's done his safety.
Definitely, you should be competent on the grinder. If you're trade qualified, you're legally signed off that you're competent using power tools.
Yeah, well, I know we've made sure that we've done our due diligence.
That's right.
Training people.
Definitely, yep. Yeah, any new person who's always ran through the safe operating procedures and training on the grinder.
Yeah. Were you here when we did that preferred training?
I don't believe so.
About 5 years ago, we got some guys to come in from the company we're buying the discs off.
Yep.
They did training. It took about half a day. I had the guys stand around that was what was raised as an option in the office.
Yep.
I don't think I did the training.
Yep.
I don't personally think there was a lot in the training these guys aren't already trained to do.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I haven't done the training, but that would make sense. I mean, no one is, being dangerous with a grinder or chopping fingers off or cutting themselves or grinding in inappropriate ways where the grinder could grab and, damage themselves.
Yeah.
Metal sparks are kind of a hand in hand with using a grinder.
Yeah.
Especially in a metal farm shed. So that would make sense. Your opinion of that probably wouldn't help in this application.
Yeah, well, I sort of felt like by the end of it, it was coming off more as a sales pitch than a safety training exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Another option that we've had raised would be full face shields or enclosed goggles.
Yep.
To be used when grinding. What do you think the boys would think of that?
I mean, obviously, coming in the summer, it's very hot in the shed. Personally, I find that face shields and even quite often glasses in general have a tendency of fogging up. They make it hard to see. Like as you know, if you're doing mast sections on the jig, you need to be looking at quarter of a mil tolerances. So if you're wearing a face shield and glasses, that kind of hindrances that skill.
Yeah.
Or ability to do so. But it would definitely limit, if not completely eradicate, the problem of metal particles in the eye.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth looking into. Possibly hand in hand with that is getting some good quality anti-fog spray or anti-fog wipes to help at least mitigate some of the problems with the full face shields.
Have we ever had that in here before?
We have lens wipes, which are, I believe, they're slightly anti-fog, and they do help. But when it's in the middle of the day in summer and you're in a shed and your face is rolling with sweat, it doesn't do a whole lot.
You can get a spray on one, can't you?
I believe so. I believe it's very similar to what divers use on divers' masks.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a better option than a wipe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess the other thing with safety shields is if they're at all scratched and you're trying to see down the end of the...
That's right. And they're a lot more expensive to replace than going, my pair of safety glasses is scratched, or they're dirty, or they're old, or they're being left on the floor and they've got a few burn holes in it from the welder.
Yeah.
As much as that shouldn't happen, it does. A pair of safety glasses, $2. A full face shield is a lot more.
Yeah. How much is a replacement clip-on for the face shields?
I'm not too sure. It'd be something we have to look into.
We'll have to look into that.
You may be able to get a clear protective lens film over them.
I can't see that lasting long in here, eh?
No, but if you could have like a wraparound, stick-on lens like you do with motorbike goggles, so.
Yep.
They're relatively cheap. Just a protective film that you can go, yep, cool, pull it off like a new one on.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they make them, but it's a possibility. Might be something to be able to look into.
Yeah. I don't really see it being a problem for the guys down the end on the webbing. It's more just the jigsaw guys doing more of the finer work.
Yeah. And they'd probably be a good option too for if you're oxy-cutting, you can get tinted lenses.
Yeah.
Because you do get showered and that, and even when you're grinding off after oxy-cutting, like that's where I found I've either had stuff in my eye or come closest to is after oxy-cutting jobs and you're grinding in lots of weird positions on beams or frames, where you can physically only get to the weld or the piece you need to grind for one position, and that one position showers you in sparks.
Yeah, I think the tinted face shields too would be good for the guys doing the prep work, because that's where the flashes come from.
Definitely.
It's not actually come from the boilermakers.
Yep.
It's from the people working around them.
Yep. And they probably utilise the welding shields we have more too. Put them between some of the guys, said the fellas prepping webbing, or prepping steel that are close to the guys consistently tacking or welding. I'm sure we can work something out there to help mitigate that problem as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely tinted face shields would help with that.
Okay, well, we'll start pricing some of that up.
Yep.
We'll implement it, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yep.
All right, cheers. Well, we'll try that for a week. and we'll come back and see how we went, mate.
Sounds good.
Cool.